Right, so Britain is doing something absolutely mental. The government woke up one morning and they were like, okay, who do we mess with today? I mean, we used identity politics and we messed with the citizens in our cities. We managed to raise the crime up. We have a knife crime epidemic. We're arresting people for purchasing CSGO knife replicas. And we're arresting people who have fidget spinners that look like Zelda swords. Like, we're doing a really great job. But who else can we piss off? Like who else can we target? And they were like, you know what? The farmers. Like, the farmers have a lot of shit. Why shouldn't we take some of that shit? Like why should they have it? Like, we're the politicians, right? We need to get our hands on some of that wealth. So they came up with the inheritance tax. And you gotta understand, like the thing for farmers, it's not just a job, it's a lifestyle. Like, for many of them, they've been living on that land since ancestral times. Like they inherited that house from their father, who inherited from their grandfather, who inherited from their great-grandfather. And the thing is, like, they're not making a lot of money. Like, the land itself and the house has value. Like, if you import a lot of foreigners in, and like the demand for houses rises, right? The price for your house also goes up, but you're not actually seeing that money because you actually live in that house. Like it's not like a good from a company that you can sell. And no. Like, it's your family's house. Like, grew up in that place. Your parents grew up in that place, right? So when you die and you leave the house for your descendants, well, now they have to pay inheritance tax. So, like, if the house is worth, I don't know, £1,000,000, then they have to pay like tens of thousands of dollars to the government, or they have to sell shit. They have to sell the land, right? So it's absolutely mental. Because, again, like, I had people DMing me and saying, well, V, you know, like, if the farmers cannot compete and stay in business, then they should sell. And it's like, well, it's not really like a normal business. It's a way of life. Like, they want to live the same way their parents lived. They want to live the same way their great-parents lived. They want to live the same way their great-great-grandparents did, right? Which is basically to have a land and live off the land. And then what's extra, sell it. But apparently that's not allowed. So you have this LBC interview when it shows the absolute disconnect, like the lack of empathy between the liberal elites and the farmers. And it's astonishing. Like this guy is going to be absolutely demolished by the farmer.
Stop talking over me and let someone who actually knows speak for once. And I know that's difficult for you, James.
Why are you so rude, Charlie?
Because you're advocating for the destruction of his lifestyle. If that doesn't require people to be rude, I genuinely don't know what would.
It's not my fault. It's not my fault. You've just made.
You're the rudest person on the radio.
Of course it's your fault. You're not only you're supporting this, you're a content creator on the radio that is promoting for this tax. It is 100% your fault. Like, don't wash away your sin. Obviously, he's not the one passing the legislation, but you are supporting the party that's doing the legislation.
Radio, because you sit there with your
I'm the second rudest person on the radio at the moment. At this moment, Charlie.
When a farmer inherits his farm and he can't afford to pay that inheritance tax because it's hundreds of thousands of pounds and he only makes £30,000 a year.
Well, look, can we crunch the numbers quickly?
That's his home, James.
Can we crunch the numbers quickly?
Yeah, by all means.
So hundreds of thousands of pounds worth of tax, presuming, of course, that it's passed from spouse to spouse and then to heir. So it's in excess of £3 million. So for hundreds of thousands of pounds at a 20% tariff, regardless of what the figure is, the percentage is 20%. You'd have to be.
That is an insane percent, by the way. That is a fucking insane percent. Like, before even crunching the numbers, you should address the issue. Like, why does the government deserve 20%? They're already taxing you while you're alive, right? Like, you want to buy a tractor, you get taxed. You're already paying taxes when you're selling your goods. You're already paying the sales tax when you're buying shit, right? Like, you're already paying that. Like, why does the government deserve the extra 20%? This is what the conversation is at, and this is like something that they don't ask. And, you know, if the government gets 20% more, what's to stop them from making up additional taxes? Like, what's to stop them from asking a tax when you get married? Or asking a tax when you have the first kid? Or like, whatever the fuck, you know? Because at this point, why even have taxes? Just abolish private property, because apparently that's the way where they're going. Just abolish private property and be done with it. And just have like the aristocracy coming back where you're just allowed to work on the land of the noble. In this case, the politician, right? Jesus Christ.
You'd have to be living in an estate worth sort of 6, 7 or 8 million pounds.
No, 4.5 million, James.
No, hundreds of thousands of pounds, you said.
4.5, yeah, exactly.
So,
by the way, 4.5 million, again, it sounds a lot, right? Like, it sounds like this person is obscenely wealthy, but chances are he never seen 4.5 million pounds in his bank account. Like, he might have the land inherited from his father, that inherited from the father before him, and so on and so forth, and he never actually saw the liquidities. Like, just because he has 4.5 million pounds doesn't mean he can use them to go on a vacation in Fiji. No, like he uses that land in order to grow crops and sell them, and apparently he makes like 30,000 pounds a year, right? So, like, you can still live a life that's actually below what people in London are used to. It's below the average, right? Like, the amenities you surround yourself with and the goods that you surround yourself with and the food that you're eating is probably less than this guy is eating. And this guy doesn't have like 4.5 million pounds, that's true. And the farmer does, but like when you're actually looking at the reality and you realize, oh, well, only the land is worth that much and he would have to sell it in order to have access to that cash. But he doesn't want to sell it because he wants to have the same lifestyle that his father had and he wants to give it to his kids. And the government says, well, no, it's not allowed. How is this not, you know, it's kind of funny. They're probably going to ban this. But the Chinese used to call communist bandit. Like, they actually have a symbol. Like they have one of their Chinese letters for communist bandits. And it was banned from social media. Like, the CCP really hates that. I'm pretty sure, like, this is what's going to happen in the UK. Calling politicians thieves is going to probably be considered some sort of hate speech in the future.
That's 1.5 million, 20% of 1.5 million over 10 years.
Yeah, and how are you going to pay that?
40% for everybody else.
How are you going to pay that when you earn 25 grand a year?
Yeah, the guy is making 25 grand a year, right? And he's also expected to pay his yearly taxes. And on top of that, he's now expected to pay the inheritance tax. It's absolutely insane.
Well, how can you possibly be...
He doesn't know. He doesn't know because there is no answer. You're not supposed to pay it. You're supposed to sell the land, aren't you? Like, seriously, if you're Stalin and you get a job as a politician in Britain and you want to start decolonization, but you got to work in the liberal framework of Britain, how can you do it? Like, how can you take away the lands of the farmer? And this is one of the way. Like I can't think of a better way. Except maybe raise the inheritance tax to 75%, because why the fuck not? Why not make it 100% at this point? Like, what would be the argument against making it 100%? It's absolutely ridiculous. The only thing more ridiculous is the law they passed in Norway for honored gays. Like, that is also in the same level of crazy.
Charlie, Charlie.
My house is protected. When a farmer inherits his farm, his house is at risk.
Why don't you sell some stuff?
Like what, James?
Well,
I love the fact that, like, the concept of that the politicians may be overreaching and that maybe this law shouldn't pass doesn't even exist into the brain of this guy from LBC. Like, it's not even something that's worth considering. It's like, no, you got to sell some stuff. Like what? Well, I don't know. Just sell it.
Some of you,
Who's gonna buy it?
Some of your land.
Who's gonna buy it?
Okay, so for those of you who don't live in a rural area, and I'm pretty sure, like, this guy doesn't live in a rural area, the question of who's going to buy it is very important, because here's the thing. Who's going to buy the land? And the answer is other farmers. Like, if you sell a land in a rural village, the only people that can buy it are your neighbors. Like, it's not going to be someone from a different village that's going to come all over there and use your land. Like, that is very unlikely. No, the likely customers that are going to buy your land are your neighbors. So it's not like in a city, if you live in an apartment and you want to sell it, and you can have like a multitude of other people, like even people from other cities that may want to move in. And it's like, no. If you're in a rural area, chances are, if you want to sell your land, there's like 5, maybe 6 other people that want to buy it. But in this situation, those 5 or 6 other people are going to be in the same pot as you. Like, they too are going to have the same issue with the inheritance tax. So do you know who's going to buy it? Someone like Bill Gates, that's who. Or someone like BlackRock. And you know what they're going to do? They're going to pay you below market rates because you're desperate. You got to pay that inheritance tax. The time is coming, right? The clock is ticking. And you're going to have to find the money somewhere. So if they come in and let's say your land is worth $1 million and they're giving you $500,000, well, you're going to have to sell. Because your neighbors aren't going to buy it and they're the only customer that will. So this is what's going to happen. You're going to have like either some big corporations or you know, like BlackRock or maybe a Bill Gates or someone like that. And they're going to come up and they're going to be like, yeah, sure, we'll take the land off your hands. You know, that's actually an interesting thing. I don't know if they can do it. I don't know the legal system in Britain. But what I would do it is to make sure that it's not an inheritance. So, but I'm pretty sure like the politician thought about it. But this would be like the loophole that I would at least try. Would be to donate the land. Like you donate the land either to your son while you're alive and your son is alive. You donate the land so that it's not part of the inheritance. Or you actually sell it to a like your son opens a company and you sell it to that company. But like you got to do it. You know, like this is what we would do in Eastern Europe. Like you would find various ways in order to avoid paying this tax through legal loopholes. That like there must be legal loopholes that you can try. But again, I'm pretty sure that the politicians have figured out of everything. Because they know like it's going to be unpopular. They know that the farmers aren't going to like it, yet they did it anyway.
Who's going to buy it?
I don't know. Lots of people are trying to buy...
Would you buy land? No, he wouldn't buy land. Who the fuck goes into a rural village and buys land? Like maybe the city folk just like randomly goes into a village and just wants to buy land.
Yeah,
he doesn't know. And the thing is like with social justice, it's implied that it's like, well, black people are being cut away from farming. So there's too many white farmers. Like that's the identity politics, social justice argument, which is really fucking bizarre. Like no one is being cut off from farming. It's just that it's a profession that's usually inherited through generations, right? Like people rarely choose to become farmers. They usually inherit the profession. Like their fathers were farmers, their grandfathers were farmers, right? So like that's how they become farmers. And since it's Britain and the native population happens to be British, not nationality but ethnically, that's why there's too many white farmers. And the politicians are using that as saying, well, yeah, but like we need redistribution, we need social justice. The reality is, you're not going to have like the average black person becoming a farmer. It's going to be BlackRock. I know the name is black in it. And when I say BlackRock, I don't mean de facto BlackRock, but I mean like other hedge funds like BlackRock. Although I wouldn't be surprised if it's BlackRock itself, to be honest, because they do own a lot of assets. So it is actually possible that a company that BlackRock is a shareholder of may actually buy the land.
What do you want a name?
The farmer's not going to buy
John.
it, are they?
No, he doesn't want a name. He wants you to think about it. He wants you to think about it. Like if all the farmers are in the same pot, and they all have to pay the same tax, which makes it difficult for them to farm, who's going to buy his land? It's a valid question.
John's going to buy it. John.
No, John also has his own inheritance tax to pay. This would be the answer that I would give him. It's like John also has the inheritance tax to pay, so no, John wouldn't buy it.
No, John is going to buy it.
John's going to build solar panels on it.
John, I don't know what he's going to do with it, but he's going to. But you asked me who was going to buy it, which you don't recognise. You're shouting at me again.
Panels, we've had the offers for wind farms.
Well, there you go. Then what?
How is it like? There you go. How is this different than the fucking mafia, man? How is it different than Don Corleone coming to you and saying, "Wow, what a nice place you got there. Would be a shame if something happened to it." How is this like, okay, you can pay the inheritance tax or you can let us build solar panels on it? Like what? So basically if someone just wants to grow corn on it, that's not an option. Like you either get squeezed by the government or you allow them to build solar panels on it. Like, do you not find a problem with this? Do you not think that this may look a little bit like extortion? Maybe not legally, but morally definitely. Like, if someone was to do this to him as a radio show host, if someone was to tax content creators that make radio programs, he would be screeching. He would be absolutely screeching. And if they would say, well, you don't have to do, you don't have to pay the tax. You can let us use your studio for OnlyFans girls. If you let us bring in the OnlyFans girls and use your studio like that, we'll buy it from you. Then he would have it, but then it would be in his own fucking backyard. Man, I don't know what's happening, but like the slogan for left-leaning parties, not just in the UK, but also in the European Union, seems to be in unison. And right now, it's not workers of the world unite. It's not you have nothing to lose but your chains. It's not it needs to be unburdened by what has been. No. The slogan is fuck the people that make our food. Like, this is it. When I look at the Green Party, when I look at individuals that are liberals and left-leaning in the European Union and the UK, it's literally, that is their chant. That is their slogan. That is why they get up in the morning. It's like, fuck the people that make our food. Now, some individuals are saying, oh, things are going to go bad in Britain if they fuck with the farmers. Not necessarily. No, because that's the beauty of it. What is going to happen is that they're going to still import food from other places. It's just that the price is going to be a little bit more expensive. And definitely the politicians that live in gated communities are not going to be affected by it. Like, Keir Starmer is not going to be affected by it. And if Keir Starmer gets affected by it, he has the money to leave the country and go somewhere where there are farms and people don't fuck with their farmers. I mean, even in Zimbabwe, when they managed to create a famine, the politicians were still doing okay. It's like, rest assured that the politicians are very well taken care of. The thing is, though, they used to talk about this a lot, and they would call it a conspiracy theory. Like, I saw videos on Twitter getting removed back in the Jack Dorsey timeline, where I think it was in Norway or in another place like that, and they were basically saying, like, the government wants us to sell the land so that they can build more apartment buildings for migrants. Like there's overcrowded in the cities. There's no more place to put migrants in the cities. So now they're looking at the countryside and they want to put more migrant centers there. Is it going to happen? I don't fucking know. But at this point, why give the government the benefit of the doubt? This is absolutely ridiculous. This new concept of a tax. and 25% is batshit insane. Like, looking at the price of a house that a person may not even have had the money to buy it is insane. Because they're inheriting the house, and they're going to leave the house for the next generation. And you're basically going and cracking down on those family tradition and family roots. I'm guessing, like, it's a good thing that Britain doesn't have Amish, or they too would get their Amish people to vote. See, the idea that, like, oh, you can live off the grid, you can just choose to disconnect and make sure that the government just doesn't fuck with you. Just live off the land, like you don't have to live in a city. You don't have to deal with all of their bullshit, with their CCTV cameras spying. Just like live off the land. No, you're not allowed to do that either. You can't just live off the land. No. Anyway, let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the comment section. Take care.